விநாயக மூர்த்திக்கு ஜெய். வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு அரஹரோஹரா. தென்னாடுடைய சிவனே போற்றி, எந்நாட்டவர்க்கும் இறைவா போற்றி. ஆதிபராசக்தி மாதா கி ஜெய். நாராயணமூர்த்திக்கு ஜெய். ஆஞ்சநேய மூர்த்திக்கு ஜெய். शिरडी साईनाथ महाराज की जय. ओम स्वामिये शरणमय्यप्पा. We'll begin with the slokas. I want you to all repeat with me. Okay. Om Shuklam Baradaram Vishnum. Om Shuklam Baradaram Vishnum. Sashivarnam Chaturbhujam. Sashivarnam Chaturbhujam. Prasannavadanam Dhyayet. Prasannavadanam Dhyayet. Sarva Vignopasantaye. Sarva Vignopasantaye. Saraswati Namastubhyam. Saraswati Namastubhyam. Barade Kamarupini. Barade Kamarupini. Vidyarambam karishyami. Vidyarambam karishyami. Siddhir bhavatu me sada. Siddhir bhavatu me sada. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu. Guru Devo Maheshwara. Guru Devo Maheshwara. Guru Sakshat Parabrahma. Guru Sakshat Parabrahma. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jnananandamayam Devam. Jnananandamayam Devam. Nirmalam Spatikakritim. Nirmalam Spatikakritim. Adaram Sarva Vidyanam. Adaram Sarva Vidyanam. Om Hayagrivaya Upashmahe. Om Hayagrivaya Upashmahe. Shri Rama Rama Rameti. Shri Rama Rama Rameti. Rame Rame Manorame. Rame Rame Manorame. Sahasranama Tattulyam. Sahasranama Tattulyam. Rama Nama Varanane. Rama Nama Varanane. We'll again practice the song we learned last week. I want you all to sing with me. Suramuni Vandita Vinayaka. Suramuni Vandita Vinayaka. Anandadayaka Vinayaka. Anandadayaka Vinayaka. Suramuni Vandita Vinayaka. Suramuni Vandita Vinayaka. Anandadayaka Vinayaka. Anandadayaka Vinayaka. He Shivanandana Shubhanana. He Shivanandana Shubhanana. He Shivanandana Shubhanana. He Shivanandana Shubhanana. Shri Ganesha Vinayaka. Shri Ganesha Vinayaka. Shri Ganesha Vinayaka. Shri Ganesha Vinayaka. Shri Ganesha. Shri Ganesha. Shri Ganesha Vinayaka. Shri Ganesha. Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha Vinayaka, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha Vinayaka, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha Vinayaka, Shri Ganesha Vinayaka. Okay, so today I wanted to introduce to you a Vinayakar sign that you may have already seen. Okay, this is called as Pillayar Suli. So this sign that you see here on the left, Tamil அது வந்து U and then 2 lines and a dot. So this symbol is what is called as Pillayar Suli. You may have already seen your mom and dad, your grandma and grandpa put this sign at the top of a page before they start anything new for that day. So before they start writing on a piece of paper, it could be an application form that they are filling. It could be the accounts book that they write every day. It could be a letter that they are composing. It could be just a piece of slip where they are giving a summary of something. Okay, on that sheet, before they write it, they will write U, 2 lines and a dot. That indicates Vinayaka. Now, why does it indicate Vinayaka? 2 reasons. One, just the shape of it. So as you see my cursor here, this shape, think of this circle as the ear of Vinayaka, elephant's ears. That's the face and that's the tumbikai. So Vinayakare draw பண்ற மாதிரி. So in a very simple sign, you can actually draw Vinayaka அப்படிங்கிறது ஒன்று. ரெண்டாவது a more deeper meaning. Last year, when we discussed Kanda Puranam, we learned the meaning of the word Om. Okay, Muruga explains the meaning of the word Om to Shiva. It's called as Pranava Upadesam, Pranava Mandiram. Okay, so Om la there are, if you break up Om into the individual sounds, it has an element of A, it has an element of U, it has an element of Im. Om அப்படின்னு சொல்றப்ப we are saying some portion of A, some portion of U and some portion of Im. அதுல the sound U is said to be the cosmic vibration of preservation. So U is the sound that is associated with maintaining something, with preserving something, with preserving a state of equilibrium. So நம்ம ஒரு பேப்பர்ல ஊன்னு எழுதுறப்போ, when we start anything for the day, when we begin to write, மேல ஊன்னு எழுதுறது A, it's a prayer to Vinayaka. B, it's also a request that whatever you write ends up being successful. Whatever you write is something that can last long. Whatever you write is something which can be preserved. So that's the implication of Pillayar Suli. Since we began with the Vinayakar song, I wanted to introduce something about Vinayaka. The other thing that I also wanted to say about Vinayaka is the name Vinayaka. So Vinayaka. Nayaka means hero. Vinayaka means hero among heroes. So that's why he gets the name Vinayaka. He is the hero among all the heroes. So next time you start something for the day, you begin to enter something in your diary, in your notebook, மேல ஒரு ஊ போடுங்க. It will help you make that effort successful. And go back and check on some old records that your dad or your mom may have. And the application form fill up பண்ணப்பையோ இல்ல some letter they wrote, மேல ஒரு ஊ போட்டிருக்கும். Okay, I'm going to introduce to you a song today. The song is called as Manasa Bajare. It's a song for Guru, for Baba Sai Baba. The image that you see here is the image of Sai Baba. He lived in the 1800s and until like early 1900s. He lived in Shirdi. His temples are very, very famous all over India. He's considered the Guru. He's seen as the reincarnation of Dattatreya, reincarnation of that form of God which had Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma. He is also called as our Sadguru. Thursdays are very special for Sai Baba. Okay, now we'll begin with the song. Manas bajare Guru Charanam, Manas bajare Guru Charanam, Manas bajare Guru Charanam, Manas bajare Guru Charanam, Dushtara bhavasagar taranam, Dushtara bhavasagar taranam, Dushtara bhavasagar taranam, Dushtara bhavasagar charanam. Guru Maharaj, Guru Jai Jai, 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 Shirdi Sai Nath Sadguru Jai Jai, Shirdi Sai Nath Sadguru Jai Jai. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah Om. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah Om. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Aruna Shivom. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Aruna Shivom. Omkaram Bhava, Omkaram Bhava, Omkaram Bhava, Om Namo Baba. Omkaram Bhava, Omkaram Bhava, Omkaram Bhava, Om Namo Baba. Manasa bhajare Guru Charanam, Manasa bhajare Guru Charanam, Dushtara bhavasagar charanam, Dushtara bhavasagar taranam, Manasa bhajare Guru Charanam, Manasa bhajare Guru Charanam, Dushtara bhavasagar taranam, Dushtara bhavasagar taranam. Okay, so if you look at the song lyrics here, after we say Manasa bhajare Guru Charanam, Dushtara bhavasagar taranam, if you look at the third line, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah Om. So Namah Shivaya is called as a Panchakshara mantram. It's a very powerful mantram. It's called Pancha Akshara mantram, meaning so adula meaning enna vandu Pancha means 5, Akshara means as syllable. So this mantra has 5 syllables. Na, ma, si, va, ya. So as per Saiva Siddhantam, the individual syllables na, ma, si, va, ya, they indicate the 5 elements. Okay, what are the 5 elements? The 5 elements are earth, water, fire, air, and space. The world around us is made of these 5 elements. We have earth, which is the ground. We have water. We have fire. We have air. and there is a space or sky. Just as the world around us has these 5 elements, even our own self, our own human body is made of the same 5 elements. The bones and the muscles and all the tissues we have in our body is the earth. Blood is a form of water. It's a liquid. Blood has water. Okay. Our body has an innate temperature, right? If we put thermometer in our body, it will read its temperature. So there is heat which is being produced in our body. We have fire. We breathe in and breathe out. So we take the air outside. We take the air from outside, take it in, we process it, we take the energy and we give out air. Okay, so air irukku, and there is an element of space in our body as well. So just as the world around us is made up of 5 elements, even the human body is made up of 5 elements. So when we say Nama Sivaya, it's a prayer to Shiva and a prayer to the 5 elements which he controls. So when we say Nama Sivaya, we are requesting equilibrium between the 5 elements which are inside us and 5 elements which are outside of us. And when we maintain that state of equilibrium, we are healthy and we are able to do our day-to-day chores. We are able to proceed with our life in an easy manner. Ram Lakshman Janaki Jai Bolo Hanuman Ki. Ram Lakshman Janaki Jai Bolo Hanuman Ki. Anjani Putra Balabhima Anjaneya Balabhima. 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 Balabhim 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 Balabhima. Balabhim 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 Balabhima. Balabhim 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 Balabhima. Vayukumara Balabhima Vanaravira Balabhima. Vayukumara Balabhima Vanaravira Balabhima. Balabhim 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 Balabhima. Balabhim 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 Balabhima. Parti Purisha Sai Rama Pavana Purusha Sai Rama. Parti Purisha Sai Rama Pavana Purusha Sai Rama. Sai Ram Sai Ram Sai Ram Sai Ram Sai Ram Sai Ram Sai Rama. Sai Ram Sai Ram Sai Ram Sai Ram Sai Ram Sai Ram Sai Rama. Sai Ram Sai Ram Sai Rama. Okay, now I'll give you a quick recap of what all we have discussed on Sundarakandam so far, and we will be iterating on the learnings that we can take home with from Hanumar, from Sundarakandam. So week 1, we began with an introduction to the story of Ramayana. We discussed the first chapter, which was Balakandam, where we talk about how Rama was born, how Rama was raised, how Rama married Sita. Next, we talked about Ayodhya Kandam, the life that Rama and Sita lived in Ayodhya. And Ayodhya Kandam ended with Rama, Sita and Lakshmana being sent to the forest. Then we talked about Aranya Kandam. Aranya Kandam describes the life Rama, Sita and Lakshmana had in the forest. It describes all the challenges they faced. And the end of Aranya Kandam is when Sita gets abducted by an Asura called as Ravana. Then Kishkinda Kandam came in. Kishkinda Kandam is when Rama happens to meet with Sugriva and Hanuman. He builds new bonds with Sugriva and Hanuman, bonds so strong enough that he eventually accepts them as his own brothers. the beautiful relationship between Rama and Hanuman develops in Kishkinda. And then we came to Sundarakandam. Sundarakandam is the story where Hanuman plays the key role in bringing Ramayana back to track. This is what we had talked about. So without Sundarakandam, there was no Yuddhakandam, and there was no victory for Rama. There was no meaning behind Rama's birth. Rama was born to establish Dharma. Rama was born to show the world how to lead a life. And for all that, the deeds that Anumar did in Sundarakandam is very, 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 very important. So that's a key aspect of Sundarakandam. Okay, last week we talked about Hanuman crossing the ocean. Hanuman faced 4 challenges. I'll go over them very quickly. First challenge was Mainaka. Mainaka was the mountain, a distraction. Hanuman said no. He said, thank you. I'll come back to you later. Next was Surasa. Surasa was a very stiff competition. Hanuman knew to pick the battles. He didn't want to fight Surasa. So he used his intelligence and went past that hurdle. Next was Simhika, also called as the Chayagrahi, the shadow grabber. Hanuman said no for lethargy and no for laziness, and he struck a big blow, killed it, and went forward. Next, he faced Lankini. Lankini was a challenge where when people don't know your powers and challenge you, you simply show them your powers and they'll give you way. There are a lot of key learnings from the point Hanuman reached Lanka and he met Sita. So last week we talked about the steps he took to meet Sita, to land in Ashokavanam. But in between, there were a lot of key things that I wanted to emphasize. One, when Hanuman faced all these hurdles and he flew over the ocean, each time he faced the hurdles, his speed dropped down. His energy was dipping down. Every time his speed and energy dipped down, Hanuman recited the name of Rama. He mentioned Rama, 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 Rama. It gave him back the energy. It gave him back the speed. So there he tells us saying, when you feel less energetic, when you feel that you may be defeated, recite in your mind the name of Rama and you will get back your energy. When he entered Lanka, he didn't enter Lanka from the front entrance. He entered Lanka from the back entrance, because when you enter into your friend's house, a well-wisher's house, you're going there with intentions to bless them, intentions to join and enjoy their happiness. You enter through the front door. But when you go into an enemy's territory and you want to attack them, you don't have the best intentions for the enemy. Hanuman didn't have the best intentions for Ravana. So he enters Ravana's land from the back door. He entered not with his right foot, he entered with his left foot. So நம்ம இதிலெல்லாம் வந்து எப்பயுமே when we buy a new house, when a bride is invited into her new house, everyone says keep the right foot forward, right? Because that's a sign of prosperity, that's a sign of good things to come. Hanuman is stepping into the land where Sita was arrested, so he took the left foot in. So he's telling us, saying back entrance and left foot are reserved for enemies. But when you invite friends and well-wishers to your house, invite them through your front door and request them to come in with their right foot forward. Next, in the process of searching for Sita, Hanuman did a lot of things. He was looking for Sita every step of the way, but he was also analyzing every strength of Ravana. So it is important not just to understand Ravana's powers, it is important to also understand the powers of people who will be supporting Ravana. So he over veedu vida porar, every house, every palace, every small place on the way he steps in, he looks at it. First he enters into Vibhishana's palace. He sees Vibhishana sleeping. Hanuman also had the power to know when he was seeing a good person with good intentions, and when he was seeing a person who may have bad powers and bad energies. So பார்த்த உடனே வந்து அவரால் சொல்ல முடிஞ்சது, விபீஷணன் was a good guy. விபீஷணன் will eventually be helping Rama அப்படின்னு அவருக்கு அப்பயே தோணுச்சு. Next, he went into the palace of Kumbhakarna. Kumbhakarna is this big monstrous brother of Ravana. Kumbhakarna was sleeping. அவன் தூக்கத்துல அவன் விட்ட மூச்சு காத்து, his breathing was so powerful that when Hanuman reduced himself into a small size, when Kumbhakarna inhaled air, Hanuman almost was pulled into his nostrils. So Hanuman imagines how much power Kumbhakarna will bring into the war. So he understands that Rama and Lakshmana have a stiff task ahead. When they wage a war against Ravana, they will have to face Kumbhakarna. So now he knows that Kumbhakarna exists and what Kumbhakarna can potentially do to his Vanara army and to Rama and Lakshmana. Next, he went to the house of Indrajit, who was Ravana's son, also very, very powerful. He sees him as a threat. Next, he went into the palace of Ravana. Ravana was sleeping, and as Hanuman was glancing through the bedroom, we have one important learning from that. Hanuman controlled his five senses. The sense of sight, the sense of smell, the sense of hearing, the sense of taste, sense of touch. So those are the five senses which we all possess. So when he was on the mission of finding Sita, in Ravana's bedroom, he sees every possible intoxication that can be in the world. Every possible way one can give in to small happinesses, to means to keep us all intoxicated, keep us all inebriated, and forget the state of life. So Hanuman sees them, but he controls his five senses, and he decides to be on his mission of finding Sita, and does not yield into any one of those five senses. The wrong sight, the wrong things to hear, the wrong things to touch, the wrong things to smell, to taste. அவர் எதுவுமே பண்ணல. He sees them, he ignores them. That's not what is going to distract him. That is not what will bring him down. அப்படின்னு he moves forward. So he tells us that it is important to control the five senses. After all this, when he sees Ravana, the earth shook a little bit. The earth shook a little bit, and the women who were sleeping in Ravana's bedroom twitched on their right side. So this is seen as a bad omen for Ravana, and Ravana himself begins to feel that. He begins to feel that the minute Hanuman's eyes fell on Ravana's downturn started. அவனுக்கு வந்து அந்த நிமிஷம் he was half asleep. Ravana, for all the wealth and all the power he had, he never got sleep because he was never happy. He always was under the threat of who could get better than him. He always was under the threat of not getting what he wanted. And now that was all Sita. So he never slept. And the half sleep lam irukkrappo vandu, when Anjaneer sees Hanuman, when Anjaneer sees Ravana, the earth shook slightly, giving Ravana the chills, giving Ravana the fear that something bad is going to happen. Next, Hanuman proceeds further. And keeps looking for Sita. He is now upset and dejected that after spending so much time in Lanka, he has not found the place where Sita can be. Appo, it's the twilight time, early morning around 4:30. The time between 4:30 and 6 a.m. every day is called as Brahma Muhurtam. That's supposed to be a very auspicious time to do anything. So அந்த பிரம்ம முகூர்த்தத்துக்கு அப்பதான் வந்து Sita gives her darshan to Hanumar. Though Hanumar was looking for Sita throughout the night, it was at Brahma Muhurtam 4:30 that Sita gives her darshan to Hanuman. So இதுல வந்து என்ன சொல்றாங்க அப்படின்னா, when we are doing anything new, we are starting something, we should avoid the time between midnight and 4 p.m. and 4 a.m. The midnight is the time when Rakshasas are very, very powerful. All the evil forces have more power when the sun is completely out, and when the sun's rays start touching the earth, all the powers are reversed. So 4:30 a.m. is said to be a very, very good time. So if you are beginning anything, if you are starting off on something, even if it is like a preparation for a temple that you're starting off, start them at 4:30. Even if you are conducting a function in your house and getting your house ready for the function, don't go through with the work midnight. Start them at 4:30 in the morning if you want to get up early and get them started. So that's so these are all the small learnings we have in the process Anjaneya undertook in finding Sita. Okay. Next, so far we've talked about Anjaneya. We've talked about the journey Anjaneya took. Now it's time to introduce to you the role Ravana played, and we'll spend the next part of this session in the will and determination of Sita. So as Anjaneya enters into Ashokavanam and sits on the tree right above Sita, an important attribute of Anjaneya here is that he was observing. He was keenly observing what was happening. He was keenly listening to everything that people were saying and making his own judgments. That time, Ravana comes in to Ashokavanam. He's not able to sleep. He was disturbed when Anjaneya stepped foot and glanced on him. He was disturbed. He has this fear. He wants to come and kill Sita and get done with it. But then the minute he sees Sita, his lust again takes over. So he talks to Sita. Hey Sita, you've been here for 10 months. You have not accepted the proposal that I had, that you have to become my queen. He boasts and brags about all the wealth he has amassed, all the immense powers that he has acquired from Shiva and Brahma. He tells Sita that Rama is no match for him. Rama is a mere human. A mere human being can never come across the seas to save you. Look, for 10 months, your husband, your supposed Rama, your supposedly the most powerful man in the whole world, for 10 months has abandoned you. He is not going to come anymore, so you don't really have to wait for him. If you marry me, I'll make you the topmost queen. I will give so much wealth to your father in Janakpur. I will give so much wealth to Bharata in Ayodhya that they will never have to work again in their life. Everyone living in Janakpur and Ayodhya can live off Ravana's money. இதெல்லாம் சொல்றான். சொல்லிட்டு வந்து he says that Sita has to give him a decision, give him an answer within the next 2 months. If you will not agree to marry me inside of the 2 months, I will have you killed. I will have you eaten by all the Rakshasis around here. அப்படின்னு வந்து Ravana is warning Sita. Now Sita's turn to talk. The first time Sita is going to talk in Sundarakandam. Do you know what Sita responded with? A blade of grass. So right opposite her, the king of Asuras, supposedly the most powerful among Asuras, the guy who has controlled all the devas, all the 5 elements, everyone is under his control. The guy who is the richest in the world is threatening her, and all Sita responds with is a blade of grass. This is a very important aspect of the story. அவ என்ன பண்றான்னா, அவ ஃப்ரண்ட்ல there is a blade of grass. She takes that grass, plucks it, breaks it into 2, and throws a grass in front of Ravana. That event of throwing the grass in front of Ravana has so many implications, which I'll be going through one by one. First, those days, a royal woman will never talk to a stranger. They have to know the person well before they even talk to them face to face. So Sita doesn't even look towards Ravana. Ravana is an alien man. Ravana is an evil man. He has evil intentions towards me. I need to protect myself from the evil eyes. Appadina vandu, she takes the blade of grass, cuts it into 2, and throws it in front of him. That blade of grass is her shield, her protection from Ravana. Even today, the blade of grass called as darbai, Hindi let's call kusha grass, is a special form of grass that grows in parts of India, in parts of Africa, which has the ability to keep negative energies away and only conduct positive energy. This grass of darba is used in homam, in kumbhabhishekam, when you want the positive energies to be preserved and negative energies to be kept away. Darbai is also used during eclipse. Eclipse varrappa vandu, people put this blade of grass in different food items to protect them from all the bad radiations which emanate when the sun or the moon is eclipsed. So darbai vandu innikume use pandrom, but Sita demonstrated that in Sundarakandam. She takes the blade of grass, throws it in front of Ravana, and uses that as a shield to protect herself from the evil eyes of Ravana. Ravana is desiring someone else's wife. That's the worst thing that anyone can do. Appadina vandu, she is protecting herself from the evil vision. Next, she is indicating that for you to be interested in someone else's wife, you have to be as dim-witted as an animal that eats grass. So go eat that. Appadina vandu Ravanaவை insult பண்றா. மூணாவது, she reminds Ravana that her husband Vishnu came out of a pillar in previous birth of his as Narasimha. ஒரு தூணை உடைச்சிக்கிட்டு வெளியில வந்த ராமரால இந்த பிளேடை உடைச்சிக்கிட்டும் வெளியில வர முடியும். Rama can come out of this blade and take you out right now. அப்படின்னு வந்து she is warning Ravana. Fourth, there was one event in Aranyakandam where Jayanta, the son of Indra, took interest in Sita. He became a crow, and when Rama was sleeping on Sita's lap, he began to peck Sita on her chest. The crow was Jayanta pecking Sita on her chest. Sita was in so much pain. Sita didn't want to move. Sita didn't want to wake up Rama, but she began to bleed. Rama wakes up. He finds that Sita was attacked by Kakasura, who was none other than Indra's son, Jayanta. Rama is so furious that he takes a blade of grass. With a mantra, he converts that into a Brahmastra and puts it on Kakasura. She reminds that my husband is powerful enough to make this grass into a weapon and attack you by throwing the grass in front of her and Ravana. She also says that this blade of grass is all that you will have when Rama comes and attacks you. When Rama comes and attacks you, all the wealth you have amassed, all the wealth you are boasting about will be gone, and you will be left with this blade of grass. As the goddess, as Lakshmi herself, as the Bhuma Devi, she is also having the compassion that she's saying, Ravana, Don't be the grass which rejects Rama, who is the ocean. She compares Ravana to grass. She compares Rama to the ocean and says, grass always rejects the ocean, so ocean rejects the grass back. Don't be the grass, but be a fish which will embrace the ocean. அப்படிங்கிறாங்க. So the blade of grass thrown in front of Ravana showed the will and determination of Sita. A, it was a way to protect herself from Ravana. B, it was also the indication that whatever wealth you have amassed is of no material to me. I am here without my husband Rama. None of what you have interests me. So நீ சொன்ன எல்லாமே வந்து இந்த புல்லுக்கு சமானம் அப்படின்னு புல்ல போடுறாங்க. Now after this incident happened, Sita is troubled majorly by the all the Rakshasis who were present there. Ravana gives her the warning. Ravana tells her that you have insulted me enough. If you don't agree to my intentions, you will be dead in 2 months. Then all the Rakshasis, after Ravana leaves, they all gang up against Sita and they start abusing Sita. They say, I will eat you right now if you don't marry my king. They say Rama is no good. They talk so much in praise of Ravana. They talk so much in insult of Sita and Rama that Sita her she was fed up அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து would be an understatement. She is in the lowest ebb of her life. At that time, Sita tells herself that Ravana gave me food. I rejected the food he gave me. Ravana gave me water. I rejected the water he gave me. Ravana gave me the palaces to live. I rejected his palace. Now Ravana has given me time to live. I reject that as well. My husband Rama has not come and seen me in 10 months. My husband Rama, who took out 14,000 Rakshasas inside of 1 hour in Aranyakandam, when we were in the forest, he killed 14,000 Rakshasas in 1 hour. That valorous man, that kind-hearted man, has not come and seen me in 10 months. My husband, who I thought will come the day after I was taken away by Ravana, didn't come the day after. He didn't come a week after. He didn't come a month after. He didn't come 10 months after. He probably is never going to come. She also tells that when we left from Ayodhya, when Bharata came to see us in the forest, Bharata told us that if Rama will not return to Ayodhya the day after the 14th year, Bharata himself will jump into fire. Only 3 months are left for that date to come. We are now in the 13th year and 9 months. இன்னும் 3 மாசத்துல வந்து பரதன் கொடுத்த அந்த 14 year deadline முடிய போகுது. So Rama probably wants to just go back to Ayodhya to save his brother. He probably has forgotten me. அப்படின்னு வந்து 10 months of listening all the bad words from the Rakshasis and Ravana constantly has reduced her, has taken all the willpower that she had to the point that she decides to take her life. Now Anumar is sitting on top of the tree observing all of this. He gets a complete idea of all the events happening there, and he needs to act quickly. Now Sita Mata is at that state where she needs to get back her will, her whole determination. As a monkey, he can't just jump off the tree and startle her. As a monkey, he cannot just jump off the tree and say, hey, I'm Rama's messenger here, I'm here to help. She won't believe him. Plus Ravana has disguised himself in so many forms before. He's come in as a human. He's come in as a sage. So Sita may even mistake Hanuman as a different form of Ravana. So இப்போ என்ன பண்றது? Sita is very upset. Sita could take a bad decision right now. I don't have time to go back and tell Rama to come and save her. I need to act now. அப்படின்னு Anumar does one thing. Anumar starts reciting Ramayana. So Sundarakandam is that chapter where Ramayana was recited within Ramayana. So it's considered very, 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 very special. So Anumar begins the story of Ramayana sitting on the tree. He closes his eyes. He has his hands raised. He says, so there was a king by name Dasaratha. He had 3 wives. They did the Putra Kameshti Yagam to have 4 sons. The eldest was Rama. Rama was the reincarnation of Vishnu. Rama marries Sita, who was the reincarnation of Lakshmi. They live happily in Ayodhya. Then they are sent to the forest, where they underwent some struggles but still lived happily together. In the forest, Ravana abducted Sita. From then, Rama met Anumar and Sugriva and all the Vanaras in Kishkinda. Rama has formed a Vanara army which is capable of defeating Ravana. Rama has also sent a messenger across the ocean to Lanka to find Sita, and that messenger has now found Sita. Abdingarar. So Anumar, sitting on top of the tree, recites Ramayana story all the way until then, and Sita listens to that story. Sita listens to the story intently, and she looks up and sees Hanuman, and in her left eye begins to twitch. Her left eye begins to shake. Her left part of the body begins to shake. This was the same sign that she had when she first saw Rama, when Rama came to marry her. So அனுமாரை பார்த்த உடனே, அனுமார் வந்து ராமாயணம் கதையை சொன்ன உடனே சீதைக்கு அவ கல்யாணம் ஆக போற சமயத்துல அவளுக்கு இருந்த சகுனங்கள் எல்லாம் திரும்பி வருது. All the good signs that she had when she met Rama for the first time, she's having them again when Anumar recited Ramayana. So with that, we will conclude the discussions on Sundarakandam today. The key thing that I wanted to share today was the learnings that Hanuman shared with us as he located Sita in Ashokavanam. The grit and determination that Sita displayed to Ravana when Ravana was trying to woo her and take her by force. She used a blade of grass to protect her and to tell Ravana exactly what she felt about him, and how Anumar recited the whole Ramayana to change the mind, to change the mood of Sita. So that's the story that I wanted to end today with. So next week we will be discussing more about what Anumar did in Lanka after he met Sita. He has that ring that Rama gave him. அந்த மோதிரத்தை வந்து சீதைக்கு கொடுக்கறதுக்கு முன்னாடி அனுமர் என்னெல்லாம் சொல்றாருங்கிறத பார்ப்போம். And then he's going to meet Ravana and he's going to do a lot of things in Lanka.